This evening, the COI prison report was presented to President Granger this morning. Venezuelan shooting incident at Ettering Bang in the Cuyuni River on Monday could be considered an error. The UG loan agency suffers from a loss of over $8 billion by defaulting students. Digicel Guyana topped the first position in the large band full costume group at the Jubilee Float Parade. In the region, Dr. Keith Durow presented Karakoff with a health vulnerability and adaptation assessment. And internationally, German lawmakers are expected to approve a symbolic resolution that labels the killings of up to 1.5 million Armenians.
From Safetv headquarters in South Rival Gardens, this is Safetv Headline News with George Gonzalez.
Headline News is now being streamed live on our YouTube channel and our website, safetvguyana.com. Join us. Today, Chairman of the Commission of Inquiry into the Camp Street prison riot, Justice James Patterson, presented to President David Granger the Commission of Inquiry report at the Ministry of the Presidency. Andrew Weeks reports that Justice Patterson said it was a journey of trials as he asked the President to give due diligence to the report for speedy actions.
Justice Patterson as he handed over the report to the head of state, President David Granger. Justice Patterson said he was supported by a team that was well endowed intellectually and otherwise. He, however, made the following statement to the President regarding the tenure of the report.
Now, those are all efforts, and I would urge Your Excellency to, with the due diligence that you always employ, look at the recommendation made, and it is hoped that they will be executed in a timely manner.
The handing over Commission of Inquiry report into the prison riot was witnessed by Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu, Minister of State Joseph Harmon, Chief of Staff of the Ghana Defense Force Mark Phillips, Director of Prisons and members of the COI team. President Granger thanked the Commission for a work well done and said it was a landmark report.
It will affect a very important element in our criminal justice system, and I'd like to assure you all that the efforts of the government of Ghana will be directed towards ensuring that this country becomes a safer place, and that fewer of our children and our men and women go into the prisons, and even if they have to go into it for any reason, when they come out, they do not want to go in again, and we reduce our population so that all men can be in the forest that are there.
It was on March 3rd in the worst prison riot in living memory where 17 inmates were killed and at least 8 others were injured after being trapped in a raging fire in the notorious Capital A block of the Camp Street prison. On the 7th day of 2016, a commission of inquiry was ordered by President David Granger. The President appointed Justice James Patterson, Morlman Donica, and retired Director of Prison Dale Erskine as commissioners to investigate, examine, and report on the causes, circumstances, and conditions that led to the disturbances on the morning of March 3, 2016 that resulted in the deaths of the prisoners. They were also to report on any other subsequent disturbances at the Camp Street prisons and the nature of all injuries sustained by the prisoners. President Granger further told the press that a new day had come in the handling of matters at prisons across the country.
We do have a plan. Starting this year, prison officers will be trained in the police academy. So we expect that would raise their level of competence. The number of prison officers will be augmented so that Mazzaroni will have a larger core of prison officers, and we're going to build into the prison officers, among the prison officers, a team of officers who will be able to respond to incidents like the one that occurred on the 3rd of March. So we shouldn't need to call out the defense force and the police force to support the prison service. They will have their own capability.
George, President Granger also stated that his government knew exactly what needed to be done within the prison system in the country, starting with the strengthening of staff at the Mazaruni prisons, redeploying of prisoners from Georgetown to Mazaruni, and the rebuilding of the infrastructure there. However, George, it is still not clear when the report will be released to the public. Back to you, George.
Thanks, Andrew. The forensic audit conducted on the UG loan agency bears some startling revelations in relation to the repayment saga. The agency is owed over $8 billion by defaulting students and is a worrying trend. Kingsley Bryan has the details in this report.
The forensic audit conducted on the University of Ghana's loan agency has revealed that of the over 25,000 students who have benefited from loans during the period 2011 to 2015, 93% are still defaulting on their payment. This amounts to $8 billion not being repaid to the agency over the outlined period of the audit. The audit was conducted by R.C. Biran & Company Chartered Accountants. The auditors in the report made it clear that the trend was allowed to prolong after the Ministry of Finance and by extension the loan agency had not pursued those defaulting students. The agency is under the purview of the Finance Secretary, and its manager told auditors the agency was never designed to recover these funds. As such, students are failing to honor their obligations, but the report found some effort being made by the agency. The auditors were also informed that constant pleadings to the ministry and government were to no avail, since they failed to act. This was confirmed by Minister Jaipal Sharma, who stated that the previous administration had failed to act as well. He stated the agency was at a disadvantage from several fronts, including infrastructure. Minister Sharma posited that a committee was being set up to begin implementing several of the recommendations of the audit report. One of these was that student loans be managed as student revolving loans, as this puts an ease on the government. They also recommended the government not budget further funds for the agency, given their current bank balances and outstanding payments. There is also a recommendation that the defaulters be advised on their need to repay and warned of legal action should they fail to do so. Some prominent names have appeared on the list as defaulters. This list can be located on the Ministry of Finance's website. For Safetv 2 Headline News, Kingsley Bryan.
Thanks, Kingsley. President David Granger said the Venezuelan shooting incident at Ederingbank in the Cuyuni River on Monday could be considered an error on the part of the armed forces of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Andrew Weeks has the updates in this story.
President David Granger, moments after receiving the COI report on the prison riot at the Ministry of the Presidency, told the press that the Chief of Staff, Mark Phillips, was in contact with the Venezuelan general on the matter.
We have received information that there might have been some error on the part of the Venezuelan National Armed Forces, and the matter is now being investigated. We are working towards a resolution of the controversy. We are trying to find out exactly what occurred, but I wish to assure you that the situation is not deteriorating, and it is not going to degenerate into any confrontation.
On Monday, 3 mining officers of the Ghana Geologies and Mines Commission, the GGMC, came under fire from the National Bolivarian Armed Forces while traveling in a boat in the Cuyuni River, Region 7. Police source in Ederingbank reported as saying that shots were fired. However, none of the mining officers nor the captain of the boat were injured in the shooting incident. President Granger further stated that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was in contact with the Venezuelans as well. The president was also asked if the continued aggression by the Venezuelans were a coincidence, especially at this time when Ghana was in its post-50th Jubilee independence celebration mood.
It is too soon to tell. What occurred on the 26th of May 2015 was deliberate, the promulgation of that decree. And as you know, after the CARICOM heads of government, the decree was withdrawn under pressure from the Caribbean community. And another decree was issued. I do not see it as a continuation. I don't think the two incidents are linked. And as I said, right now it's too soon to tell. I would like to await information from the Chief of Staff, who's in touch with Venezuelans.
When further asked if there was a need for the GGMC officers to be armed as they carry out their duties near the border with the Venezuelans, or if they needed to be in the company of military personnel or the Ghana police force, Mr. Granger said,
There have been several incidents between the Venezuelan armed forces and the Ghanaian Defense Force over the last 50 years. This is certainly not the worst, and as I said, it's too soon to tell. I'm trying to get information on the cause of the shooting, and both Guyana, both the Ministry of the Presidency, which is responsible for Guyana Defense Force, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs are working towards a resolution of this matter.
Was it discussed at your security meeting earlier yesterday or today?
Yeah, it was discussed at the security meeting, and that is why we know that there has been contact between the two sides, and we're working towards a resolution.
as Guyana awaits the explanation from the Venezuelans, should Ghana government hold their peace and carry on as normal? The report from the Bolivarian Republic will tell it all. George, back to you.
Thanks, Andrew. Coming up on Headline News after the break, Digicel Guyana has topped the first position in the large band full costume group. And installing rails at the Kaieteur National Park is something that is being reconsidered by the Ministry of Tourism.
I'll say, will you marry me? I swear that I will mean it. I say, will you marry me? Sing it.
Jean-Louis Styles, simply different.
With a distinctive flavor, pulque ghee is made from 100% pure vegetable oil. This pulque ghee is a delight when preparing sweetmeats and other dishes for healthy cooking with a rich buttery taste and aroma. It is used for religious purposes and is a principal fuel for burning. Pulque ghee is light, pure, with a real ghee texture.
Seems like people will try just about anything to lose weight these days. But nothing works better than proper dieting and exercise. So if you're guilty of eating the wrong foods, not finding time to exercise, or can't afford a gym, join Safetv Channel 2 for Body and Spirit. Aerobics workout with Dick Nunez.
Hello, I'm Dick Nunez. Welcome to Body and Spirit Aerobics.
Weekday mornings from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. Don't hesitate. Act now, because your greatest wealth is your health.
Sometimes there's just too much information to keep up with when you're pregnant. What you should and should not eat, what kind of exercise is right for you, how to handle mood changes, even how to determine when it's time for delivery.
Don't let your pregnancy be a burden. Watch The Baby Story on Safetv Channel 2 every weekday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Now you can know all you need to know from conception to delivery when you watch The Baby Story on Safetv Channel 2.
The errant contractor in that Hope Canal project is being penalized. In this Rihanna Ahmad report, you'll hear of the government's plans to deal with the faulty bridge.
The three-component northern relief channel at Hope Dutch 4 on the east coast of Demerara has had years of problems before being finally completed a few months ago. But despite plugging a massive $3.6 billion into the project, faults remain. As of now, the bridge component of the structure implanted on the East Coast Demerara Public Road is a major bother to both commuters and residents of the area.
The genesis of that was a very bad design by the consultant engineers. The contractor who did the bridge pointed it out to the engineers, the contracted engineers, that it's faulty and what will happen will happen. The consulting engineers say no, go ahead.
It is unclear whether the PPPC government, which undertook the project, was fully aware of the implications, but Agriculture Minister Noel Holder further indicated that efforts were being made to sanction those responsible for the faults.
The Ministry of Public Works and Agriculture are fixing the bridge, I think, right now, and we'll try and get our funds back from the consulting engineers.
Meanwhile, it was Courtney Ben Contracting Services that was responsible for most of the delays for the project, which was supposed to have been completed 18 months after construction began in February 2011. Sanctions to that company were put on hold by then Agriculture Minister Dr. Leslie Ramsamy. He had defended at that time that it was important that the project be fully completed before the penalty clauses were enacted. Now that the channel has already been put to use, that payback process has finally begun.
He has had some other contracts, and funds are being deducted to pay back what he owes.
After about 3 years of delays, the Hope Canal project was finally completed last year. The test run had been deemed successful, but George, it is now that the problems are arising, and it is unclear how much these fixtures will cost.
Thanks, Rihanna. Digicel Guyana has topped the first position in the large band full costume group of the recently concluded Independence Day Float Parade. Several ministries were also adjudged winners.
The high point of Guyana's Golden Jubilee celebrations in the minds of many was the Independence Day Float Parade. It was a memorable experience for many, as revelers took to the streets in their usually brilliantly colored costumes, flouncing to the sounds of hyped music. Digicel was adjudged the winner of the large band full costume in this year's parade. This is no surprise, as Digicel's band found it difficult to enter the Jubilee Stadium after spectators rushed in the group's formation. Region 3 came in second, and Honest Illusion and Preston Paul took the third spots. In the medium band, the Ministry of Communities copped first place, while the Ministry of Public Health placed second. The Ministry of Natural Resources, Social Protection, and Public Infrastructure all tied for third position in the same category. The small band category saw Region 6 being adjudged the winner in that category, followed by the Ministry of Finance. In the semi-costume feature, the Amazon Warriors was named winner in the large band, while the medium band was won by Demerara Village Guyana Inc. Jumbo Jet was a judge winner in the small band of the semi-costume group. In the individual floats, Digicel also copped first place, followed by Ministry of Public Infrastructure. Digicel also won the commercial float, followed by Jumbo Jet. The non-commercial float was won by the Ministry of Public Health. This year's best designer went to Miss Olympia Small Sonoram, and Nielsen Nurse was adjudged runner-up. For Safetv 2 Headline News, Kingsley Bryan.
Thank you, Kingsley. Installing rails at the Kaieteur National Park is something that is being reconsidered by the Ministry of Tourism. Rihanna Ahmad will tell you more in this report.
3 young women have so far committed suicide by jumping off the edge of the infamous Kaieteur Falls. This majestic feature that Ghana has to offer as its major tourist destination was tainted by these deaths. The fact that the last 2 jumps occurred just a month apart brought some amount of panic, causing authorities to convene emergency meetings to ensure that these occurrences ceased. One of the recommendations given was the installation of rails to prevent visitors from going too close to the falls.
I personally had concerns, and so we are looking at another option.
That was Tourism Minister Catherine Hughes. She told Headline News during an interview that construction of the rails has been put on hold, while the authorities consider installing a viewing gallery at the falls.
One of the things that we are looking at is actually constructing an observation view, which would be very tastefully designed in keeping with the environment.
This, the minister referenced, would resemble galleries installed at various national parks across the world, including one at the Grand Canyon in the United States. Back in November, 21-year-old Roshini Pagwa took a deadly jump over the edge of the falls, a few months after her boyfriend had reportedly committed suicide. A month earlier, 34-year-old Lalita Sivanan had made her deadly jump. To date, her reason for doing so is still unclear. The first Kaieteur jumper was a promising 23-year-old poet, Aliyah Bulkan, daughter of now Communities Minister Ronald Bulkan. This happened back in 2008. George, it is hoped that more people would start valuing the life given to them. The nation needs to enjoy the positive publicity of its prominent tourist destinations. The beauty of Kaieteur should not be tainted.
Thank you, Rihanna. Trouble in Port Kaituma, as a family almost lost their lives in a trucking incident. Andrew Weeks reports that the community is fed up of the chairman and councilors of the RDC in the area, whom they say is to be blamed for the incident, and much more.
Yesterday, a family is counting their blessings as the truck they were in turned turtle on the road around teachers' quarters in the area. The husband and son of a community activist, Pearlie Welcome, were in the Bedford truck at the time the incident occurred. The pictures you are seeing were released moments ago.
Yes, both. And turnover right in the center of Port Kaituma, by the teachers' quarter hill. Both. And he lost my husband yesterday, and he lost my son, a big son. That people take all the pictures and they were so, they say they can't believe we got a government in this country. And there's the condition of the road. Both my trucks break up yesterday, both.
According to Mistress Welcome, the road, which is also not far from the NDC's office, has been in a state of disrepair for years. She also spoke of the sufferings the villagers are experiencing.
Nothing in doing. We suffering in Port Kaituma. Port Kaituma residents suffering. Since 25 years, the PUP government went in. Now APNU come in and there is the same strugglation. We, Kaituma, got to care food to a place named Matthews Ridge, to Arakaka, and to Baramita. If you use the road, you can't reach no way. And there's the government in here we having because these buck people are woman.
Another truck also turned over this morning at Fitzbury Hill. Welcome further stated that that part of Port Kaituma had been won by the PPC during the March 18 local government elections. And according to members in the community, the chairman and councillors refused to do the roads because the villagers did not vote for the PPC.
You know the area doing because we as APNU people should know flow part we live in is APNU people. And if we plan the celebration, they give we a center, Andrew, and every community gets money to celebrate the Jubilee holiday. Then they give we no money. We have to buy our own clothes and we have to make our own banner off our own. She said she and leave for she looking after nothing like money right now. And let us say, and Miss Margaret Lambert, she is a PPP woman, stronghold PPP woman. She is the one who ruling Kaituma too. Because even she calling by me and playing to me. She said, Molly, I know you got enough workers, you got enough children. Don't vote for AP and you vote for PPP. She said, support me, we're going to campaign. I said, yeah, I'm going to campaign with you. And they win the election, and that is why we suffering, because when people go to Miss Margaret, she's telling a plan, she said, we don't have any money for no nothing.
The bridge, which is the main access into the community, has been destroyed by years of time. Now that the road, the bridge, and the trucks are gone, the residents have no other means of taking goods into the village and to miners for the operations of their gold mining business, which provides for themselves and their families. The residents of Port Kaituma are calling on the APNU plus AFC government, as well as the Minister of Public Infrastructure, to look into their concerns. They also stated that the parliamentary representative in the area, MP Allen, is out of touch with the sufferings experienced by the people there. George, back to you.
Thank you, Andrew. Still ahead, our regional and international news.
Women's fashion trends change every day. That's why John Lewis Styles makes it their duty to source items directly from the manufacturing brand, offering you more choices and better prices. Women love to look great, whether it's for work or play. From clothing, shoes, accessories, to handbags, watches, fragrances. Let's make you feel like the only girl in the world. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
Sometimes there's just too much information to keep up with when you're pregnant. What you should and should not eat, what kind of exercise is right for you, how to handle mood changes, even how to determine when it's time for delivery.
Don't let your pregnancy be a burden. Watch The Baby Story on Safetv Channel 2 every weekday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Now you can know all you need to know from conception to delivery when you watch The Baby Story on Safetv Channel 2. Try just about anything to lose weight these days. But nothing works better than proper dieting and exercise. So if you're guilty of eating the wrong foods, not finding time to exercise, or can't afford a gym, join Safetv Channel 2 for Body and Spirit. Aerobics workout with Dick Nunez.
Hello, I'm Dick Nunez. Welcome to Body and Spirit Aerobics.
Weekday mornings from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. Don't hesitate. Act now, because your greatest wealth is your health.
In news from the region now, the Honorable Minister of Health and Environment, Dr. Keith Durow, presented the Caribbean Climate Outlook Forum, CARICOF, with a health vulnerability and adaptation assessment, which was completed last year. The Government Information Service of Dominica, Sharika Pierre, reports.
The assessment is collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Environment, the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology, the Pan American Health Organization, the World Meteorological Organization, and Health Canada. The concluded climate and health vulnerability and adaptation assessment is considered by the Honorable Minister for Health as the cornerstone for mainstreaming climate change adaptation in the health sector.
The study has also put in focus the overwhelming vulnerabilities of the local population to the impact of climate on vector-borne diseases and food safety, security and water quality, and the necessity to build adaptation measures into health program planning and implementation. It draws on the need to be climate smart when building health systems and providing health services.
Chief Medical Officer Dr. David Johnson revealed that the Ministry of Health also conducted a formal assessment in December with the Caribbean Public Health Agency based in Trinidad. The assessment was a national after-action review to reflect the lessons learned from Tropical Storm Erica.
The after-action review which we did, which I referred to, which was done in September over 2 days, in addition to this formal assessment, it focused on different elements of emergency response, including preparedness, alerting, response, recovery, and rehabilitation. And it examined a number of things. One, what was expected to happen, what actually happened, what went well and why, and what can be improved and how. With the expected increases in these events, the country therefore needs to position itself to better respond to public health threats, as you'll realize, associated with climate variability and change by incorporating systems which would provide better information for decision making into health service delivery.
Dr. Johnson stated that Dominica must establish the resources to continue to study on the country's vulnerability to climate variability and climate change. These studies will assist the government in establishing systems which will inform decisions on adaptation to reduce public health threats which are expected to arise as a result.
And internationally, German lawmakers are expected to approve a symbolic resolution on Thursday that labels the killings of up to 1.5 million Armenians a genocide. It follows similar steps pressed in other parliaments, including France and Canada. Euronews has our story.
German proposals to refer to the massacre of Armenians in 1915 as genocide has been called ridiculous by Turkish Prime Minister Binali Yildirim. He said that there is no doubt that such a resolution could damage relations between the two countries. Lawmakers in Germany will vote tomorrow on whether to label the mass killing a genocide, with the Bundestag expected to accept the legislation. Green Party leader Cem Özdemir, himself of Turkish descent, will be supporting the resolution. The ones who really have to worry are not the members of parliament, he says. It's the people who live in Turkey who are talking about this, who sometimes even pay with their lives. Turkey rejects the resolution, and massive backlash in the Turkish community has led to many MPs being emailed by Turkish constituents. We haven't killed anybody, we just defended our country. Up to 1.5 million Armenians were killed in the massacre, which began in April 1915 under Ottoman rule. The exact number is disputed, although nearly 30 states and European Parliament recognize it as genocide.
And that's SafeTV2 headline news for this Wednesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to find SafeTV2 headline news on Facebook and YouTube. You can also tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 for a rebroadcast and Thursday evening at 7 o'clock for more news. For now, I'm George Gonzalez, signing out from this newscast. And do have a blessed evening.